Hello and all, welcome to a Galaxy Man Show interview show. So for my very next guest of today and of tonight is this incredible actor known by the name of Joseph Millson. He played the incredible role of Alan Jackson, the dad of Maria Jackson in the Sarah Jane Adventures, a Doctor Who spin-off series. So yeah, I'm about to add Joseph into the live now to have a chat with Joseph about his incredible work in the Doctor Who spin-off series. So yeah, let's add Joseph in and have a chat with Joseph. Hey, Joseph.
How you doing?
Yeah, really good, thanks. I just want to say first up, thank you so much, Joseph, for taking the time to join my show. It's
Pleasure.
such a pleasure having you on the show tonight. To people that don't know who you are, if you can give like a bit of backstory about yourself, and then we'll dive right into the questions.
Oh, blimey. I am just, a bloke who has done lots of acting and been in lots of stuff. It would take too long to go through it all. I'm one of those people sometimes recognise in a shop, but then they don't know quite where I'm from because I've done too many, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I'm now writing a lot as well, which is fun. Just going to take somewhere. Amazingly, there's two of these things happening in my house. Well, my wife's on a Zoom call I feel like you're going to come on a tour into my kitchen. There we go. We're off.
Yes. Awesome. Well, we'll dive right into the questions now, Joseph.
Yeah.
So, for the very first question, you've been in such an incredible Doctor Who spin-off series called the Sarah Jane Adventures. What was it like getting to play the incredible role of Alan Jackson, the dad of Maria? And yeah, what was it like getting to be in this incredible series?
It was amazing, and it was a real blessing because it was one of the only times in my life, the pilot episode we made, not knowing if there would definitely be a whole series. And Russell T Davies and Phil Collinson, the producers and writers, just asked me. I've very rarely not had to audition. But with that one, they just said, do you fancy doing this? And I said, yeah, that'd be fun. And it was fun, and it continued to be fun, and it became more fun. And I was gutted it ended for me. Yeah, obviously the whole thing had to end when lovely Liz passed, but I would have stayed until they kicked me out. It was great. It was just a joy. One of those rare jobs where there wasn't a single day where you were looking at your watch and wondering when lunch was. Just really happy to do the work.
So on to the very next question. So what was like your favorite episode to film and why of the Sarah Jane Adventures?
Okay, I'll be really selfish. Russell T Davies noticed one day at a read-through early on that I came to the read-through on my skateboard. And he said, you skateboard? I said, yeah. He went, Cut to, like a month later, he'd written an episode where Alan Jackson fights aliens on his skateboard. So that was not only fun because of that, it was also, I think, the best episode story, because sometimes they try and nicely frighten young people with scary aliens, blah, blah, blah. But that one, which I think was called Whatever Happened to Sarah Jane, was scary because of the idea. It was a frightening idea that people could vanish, or you could vanish, or your parents didn't know who you were suddenly. The idea was frightening, and I thought that was really good writing, and it was really well directed. Yeah.
So on to our very next question. So what was your favorite scene to film, like most memorable favorite scene to film that you can remember that like wowed you?
Oh goodness, that's a great question. I can't, hang on. You've stumped me there. I think, do you know what? I don't know about wowing me, but I just have fond memories of 4 or 5 of us trying to fit in the tiny car that Sarah Jane Smith drove. And a lot of fun, and then chasing aliens with vinegar bottles and stuff, and and then also the whole palaver being turned into stone, which actually meant I was in a cast for about a whole body cast for like 5 hours. So I'll never forget that. But all of it really, yeah.
So on to our very next question. So what was your favorite on-set alien to meet, and why?
Okay. Favorite would have been the big fat Slovene. They were just great fun. and memorable probably the grass, because the lovely actor who was playing the grass was in a little trailer next to me, and my children, who were then maybe 6 and 2 years old, came to visit, and I warned him. I said, "Oh, my youngest will be scared of you." And what does he do? As they're walking past the caravan, a grass jumped out of the caravan and went, "Ah!" My son cried for 7 hours. So not grasps.
No, not the Weeping Angels.
No. Oh no, they were scared.
The Weeping Angels are creepy as in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on to your next question. So, what if you could change like one thing about Alan Jackson from the Sarah Jane Adventures? What would it be?
Oh, do you know what? I think I would just keep the story going long enough for him and his wife to get back together, even if it's not brilliantly successful. But I love working with what's her name, Cowan. Oh my God, that's ridiculous. We were only speaking last week. My brain is like soup today. Anyway, I loved working with her, and I'd hope they might try to get back together.
So on to our next question. So what was it like getting to work with the incredible and the amazing Elizabeth Sladen? Like, she did such an incredible job in Doctor Who, and of course her own spin-off show. Like, wow, like with the very first pilot, as you mentioned, like great hit, great success with the Doctor Who.
I said this, in an interview a few years ago. I trying to work out what to say about Liz, and I think this is the best compliment, and the best thing I can say is that filming things like science fiction, it's possible, it's always possible as an actor to feel a bit silly, okay? You can go, hey, this is a really cool job. Then sometimes you're on a set with big burly crew around you, and they're all like real people, and you're suddenly pretending to do this stuff. And you can feel a bit silly. If you add to that having to pretend that there are aliens that you can't see there, right? If you pretend, if you're imagining that they're around, you can feel really silly. Liz Sladen, who was a fair few years older than me, just played like a child. She didn't care who was watching. When it was happening, she believed what was happening. She was just like a kid in a playground playing. And so she helped me, and I've done it ever since. I've not cared about looking silly ever since. She was such an inspiration to me in like, if we're doing this, let's play. Let's play like children. So that's what I remember about Liz and the gift she gave me.
So
I think my daughter was Hello, daughter.
Awesome. So I have to ask, by the way, who out of the cast members do you still keep in contact with from the cast?
Juliet Cohen, a little. That's about it. I have bumped into Yasmin once or twice. That's about it, and Russell T. Davis and Phil Collinson. I'm still in touch and friends with them. But not many of the cast. I'm still good mates with David Tennant, funnily enough, but he and I were friends before I did that. In fact, David Tennant might be in a film I wrote soon. So that's, all comes around. And brilliantly, I've got him playing a character called Time.
That's cool.
That's all I'll say.
So I have to ask, by the way, with the whole Sarah Jane Adventures being such an incredible success, what got you into wanting to join the whole cast of this incredible fan base series, spin-off series?
Well, look, I'll be really honest with you. It's quite interesting. I needed to pay my rent. That's always, I'm afraid I've never been an actor who's had the luxury of making those choices for any other reason. So I was thrilled to get a job that month. That's why I originally took it. And I was never a Doctor Who fan. I enjoyed watching it. I was never kind of devoted Whovian. And the same with other worlds I've dipped into. I've dipped into the James Bond universe. I've dipped into Star Wars universe, which is great. I love them all, but without being a kind of mega fan. So to me, it was, in a way, that was better, or I might have been nervous, And as it was, I just served the story every time and didn't worry about it.
So I have to ask, by the way, too. So what if you could have any favorite Doctor from the Doctor Who universe? What favorite Doctor would be like your most top favorite Doctor, and why?
Okay, I remember really liking Paul McGann. I wish he'd done a bit more. David's just pretty amazing. Let's just say David all the way, not just because he's a friend. I mean, you can't, if you could bottle the energy he has, we'd all be drinking it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally agree. So on to our next question. So with being like a favorite, like fan of Doctor Who, and of course being in a spin-off of Doctor Who would be your like favorite all-time companion, and why?
I'm going to say, because again, I don't know them all, because I haven't kind of watched every ep of every series at all. I thought Freema Agyeman was fantastic.
Martha.
What was her character called?
Martha.
What was she called? Martha was ace. I like Martha a lot. Yeah.
Awesome. So on to our next question. So what would be your like favorite villain or creature from the Doctor Who universe, and why?
Okay, I'm going to say from what I know, again, it might be the same episode I was talking about earlier. I think the Trickster was an amazing invention, because there you've got a baddie that not only is quite scary to look at and odd, but, you know, I prefer my bad creatures to be just all out bad, rather than like, oh, they're only bad because their mother was horrible to them when they were young, and they have a reason why they turned bad and they used to be good. The Trickster is just, as far as I knew, just loves messing with people. And I thought that was great. Like when I was a kid, when I was really small, I used to watch Tom and Jerry cartoons. And I always wanted Tom to win just once. Have I got that the right way around? Tom was the cat, wasn't he? I always wanted the cat to win just one time, just one time. But I guess that would have meant he ate the mouse, and that would be the end of Tom and Jerry. But yeah, I've always rooted for the underdog, which quite often really is the bad guy.
Awesome. Yeah. So for our next question. So what would be your favorite episode of Doctor Who, and why?
Oh, look, you've got me there, because I don't know. I'm not a Doctor Who fanny enough to know episode names or anything. I'm really sorry. There was one amazing episode I remember that was very much on a planet that was desert-like, and John Hurt was in the episode.
Oh yes, the 50th anniversary.
What was that? That was amazing.
Yes.
And there were some long scenes in a kind of blown-up metal thing they were all stuck in. I just remember thinking that was like a movie. It was amazing. So that, whatever the heck that was.
So I have to ask, by the way, with the 50th anniversary episode gone from 2013, yeah, it was. If you could be in the 60th anniversary, if Russell T. Davies asked you to, like, if he could write to 60th, would you want to join the 60th?
Oh, yeah. And I'd want to be Alan. I'd want to just stay. I think Alan and Maria were going off to America, as I remember. And I always thought, God, you could do a spin-off of the spin-off here. I'm sure they've carried on, you know, and I'm sure it'd be amazing, because she's still acting. We could just rock up and help out, you know, for 10 minutes.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. So on to our next question. So what made you decide as a person, and especially as like an actor, to get into the acting industry in the first place?
Oh, that's a long old, that's a 3-pint story. I was not I'll do a short version. I'll do the half pint. I was not a stage struck kid. I was about 17 or 18, and it was kind of a dare almost. It was, I was pushed and shoved and fell into acting, let's say. So I never dreamed it was something you could pay your rent with. I really didn't. I was going to be a stage manager. I think that was I was quite useful with hammer and nails, and I was happy to lug sets around, you know. And then I kind of got dared and shoved into the acting side of things. I'm still waiting to get found out. Yeah.
So on to our next question. So with COVID going around, what have you learned about yourself as a person, especially as an actor during COVID?
Wow, that's a great question. And I think this applies to a lot of actors and creatives. You could be a dancer, you could be anyone whose kind of main thing in life was stopped. I know everything stopped, but I think what we all had to find was whatever that bit of us is, you had to find another outlet. So I had to swallow my pride, and like most actors and work, I went straight to work in a supermarket. I went from playing a lead role in the West End to working in Aldi supermarket for several months because I had children to feed and rent to pay. And it was absolutely, it was brilliant. And I've done caring for old people, working in cocktail bars. All of that is great. So that's one thing, is like, to realize how lucky you were, and then to adjust to hoofing and working in other fields. That's really good for the soul. But then your artistic thing, discovering that can be satisfied very well by writing. Writing has become such a huge part of my life, and it's not just because I love writing. I would write even if no one was ever going to read it now, because it turns out it's the same bit of you as acting. It's just storytelling. Actors are storytellers, and we tell other people's stories, but we're interested in telling the stories. So writing prose, writing poetry, writing plays, writing screenplays, writing biography, writing anything is the same bit of you. So the last 18 months taught me to, rather than, chewing your nails and going mad, just get your keyboard out or a pen and paper, and 1 hour of writing means you don't feel like you're fading away or rusting, artistically. So that's been huge. That's a shift that will never, even if I worked the rest of my life as an actor and was busy as an actor the rest of my life, I now would never drop the writing, because it's mine. Actors have to wait for the phone to ring before they get permission to be creative. And it's a huge realization I think a lot of us have had during the last 18 months, is we don't have to wait for permission anymore. You can just be creative. So that's been huge for me. Yeah.
I actually love how you mentioned about like your writing and stuff. You seem so passionate about it, and I love that about you. Like, love that about your vibe and everything that I'm getting.
Yeah.
I actually did the exact same thing when I was actually in high school. I used to write hundred of page stories about Doctor Who, because
Brilliant.
as you know, I'm like a huge Doctor Who fan, and I love Doctor Who. And it's just, I used to write like short, like kind of like episodes like of the Doctor, and I was like, why not? Like, because it helped me
well, that's a wonderful way in. It's a wonderful way in. And what happens if you write those fan fiction things? It's such a short jump then to write your own original one. You've learned by copying other people's structures. I'll copy how they do these Doctor Who things, and then you just set the whole thing in the Wild West instead. And you cut out time travel and turn it into something else. And you've realized you've become a writer by accident. It's fantastic. That's brilliant.
So, So on to my very next question. So if you could be in like any TV or movie franchise, what would it be and why?
Franchise? It's funny because, like I was saying, I've had a sniff into several of them. Good Lord, that's really tricky. I tell you what, I haven't got much time left. It's not a franchise per se, but Tarantino has said he's only making 10 films and there's only one left. I would happily walk across the back of Doc carrying a tea tray to be in a Tarantino film.
Yes.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
So on to our very next question. So what are like the positives and negatives into the whole acting industry, and how do you get through those like negative moments as an actor?
The negatives are really small, if you ask me, because the negatives are only fiscal. They're financial. If you're young enough and lucky enough to only have rent, all the problem is you've got to feed yourself and have a roof over. You can do it. It only really gets tricky when you've got responsibilities, be they children and mortgages or whatever. It can get interesting then. But so that's the negatives, is financial. I can't see, and the other negative is that, like I was saying, you're not in control of when you do it. You're not like a painter who can just go home and keep sketching. You have to wait till you're doing it. But that's like I'm saying, we've all discovered, I'm not sure that's true anymore. Go home and write some scenes and get your phone out and make a film on your phone. There really isn't any reason not to keep doing it these days. It's amazing. So long as you don't have expectations of fame or massive success. And if you actually love it because you love doing it, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
So on to our very last question. So what's like next for you, like project wise, like, or writing that you would like to announce on the show?
I've had a lovely, strange year of doing lots of little parts in some very sexy things. So I've got a day or two left on a sci-fi, funnily enough, called Citadel that Amazon Studios are making. So I'm in that, just one episode. I've done an episode of a massive Marvel show that I'm not allowed to say, but I'm only in it again like that much, but it's still, as people keep saying, hey, you're in the MCU. So that's cool. Yes, I've got a day left or two on Citadel, and then writing. Yeah, I'm doing a master's degree in writing, in screenwriting, which is fun. And I've just yesterday finished writing a feature film with a friend, which we're really proud of. And he's made 2 features, so we're pretty sure it will happen because we've deliberately written it to be quite cheap. So there's a lot of that going on, trying to get projects off the ground, you know. My wife's about to direct her first short film, and I'm the producer. So I'm helping organise catering and stuff. So that's keeping us busy these next couple of weeks. And that's it, really. Keep chasing my teenagers around the country and finding ways to pay the rent. Yeah.
Well, can I just say thank you so much, Joseph. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show today. Do you have like any last final thoughts that you'd like to give to people on the show?
No, go and have a cup of tea.